Hey, I hope you all had a good weekend. Mine wasn't so bad. I spent most of it working on my abs with my personal trainer. I'm the one on the bottom. For a change. It's too late, Martha. You can't leave. So, we are living in a world run by idiots, where every day something more idiotic presents itself, like a giddy polka dot wearing moron blowing a kazoo out of his butt. It's like a parade of Swalwells. First, Arnie Duncan. He was Obama's old education secretary. He's so stupid, he thinks SATs stand for sending asinine tweets. Like this one. I'll read it for you. Have you noticed how strikingly similar both the mindsets and actions between the suicide bombers at Kabul's airport and the anti-mask and anti-vax people here? They both blow themselves up, inflict harm on those around them, and are convinced they are fighting for freedom. That makes no sense. Have you noticed Arnie Duncan is a complete jackass? And no, Arnie, we didn't notice strikingly familiar mindsets between anti-maskers and terrorists because we, unlike you, weren't oxygen deprived at birth. At least a terrorist thinks he's going to be rewarded with 72 virgins. What's Duncan hoping for? 72 thumbs up from his Twitter followers? So that was Obama's education secretary. Great pick there, champ. No wonder our education system sucks. At this point, Somalia is better. At least theirs produces high-quality pirates. It's a sad fact. The politicians, the experts, the people in charge are dumber than a cage full of monkeys flinging poop at each other. In the animal kingdom, that's called a Scarborough. Look at this graphic, courtesy of the Times. It's a breakdown of all the military equipment we handed over to the Taliban. 65,000 machine guns, 360,000 assault rifles, 126,000 pistols. You know, that makes receiving 72 virgins look like a pair of socks. Only Biden could make Christmas come early for a horde of Islamic radicals. But Joe, you keep spoiling them like that. Next year, they're going to want nukes. So who made that decision? Someone way up there made that decision. How is that person not known? Hell, even in pro sports, if a player blows the Super Bowl, he or the head coach has to face the media right after the game. Where are the anonymous sources the media loves to quote with all the inside scoop behind this scandal? Remember, Trump would hit the bathroom, and CNN would cite 10 nameless sources claiming he wiped with Charmin. But oddly here, none of our valiant reporters feel compelled anymore. It feels like some things are just off limits now. Of course, Jake Sullivan, who looks like he just left tryouts for a high school production of Pippin, claims the president relied on military officials' advice not to use the Bagram airport. And so another buck gets passed. And this is an administration who said the buck stops with me. But the White House passes the buck around like it's a deer orgy. It's disgusting. No, don't. No mercy clapping. No mercy clapping. This isn't SNL. But even the media, they're blaming Trump. Soon they'll be blaming their failures on old episodes of The Apprentice. And there's a report that the Taliban offered Biden control of Kabul, which was nice of them. Even savages like the Taliban have to make things easy for Sleepy Joe. They know any choice harder than Matlock or pudding makes him cranky. Rumor has it Joe said no to that because they wouldn't allow him to put a Baskin-Robbins in the main terminal. Because, you know, he likes ice cream. All right, I'll retire those ice cream jokes. Here he is snapping at a reporter who asks him about Afghanistan.
I'm not supposed to take any questions, but go ahead.
Mr. President, on Afghanistan?
I'm not going to answer Afghanistan.
Can you just
Where am I going? He's got the temperament of someone who hasn't taken a dump in 9 days. Hey, we get it. The job's hard, and hard things make Joe angry, especially things that are hard enough to require chewing. Meanwhile, a Marine is fired for asking military leaders to accept accountability. He sacrificed a comfortable retirement to speak his mind. We know his name, Stuart Scheller, but we don't know the names of the people who made all of these awful decisions. Is it just Joe? That's possible. But how can one person make so many mistakes, choosing the wrong path at every twist and turn? He's like me when I grocery shop drunk. The crap I come home with makes no sense. peanut butter and carrots. And you should see the stuff I eat. And now that it's gotten real bad, they're hiding behind one word, consensus. Not to be confused with consensual, in case Andrew Cuomo's watching. But you know what consensus is. It's fake. Because anyone who doesn't agree with their decision is dropped from the consensus. So the consensus is always at 100%. But I guess if you get a hit at your very first at-bat, you can say you batted 1,000. But we know it's garbage. And it's this consensus that shields the idiots from accountability, even though consensus is made up of 100% idiots. The Marine who just got fired chose to show them what accountability looks like. He did the right thing. And in the Biden regime, that means he had to pay the price. Let's welcome tonight's guest. Like the city she grew up in, this Buffalo native is hardworking, full of potential, and has never won a Super Bowl. The story anchor, Martha McCallum. She is by far my favorite female libertarian with glasses. Host of Kennedy on Fox Business Network, Kennedy. And she's on the road a lot, meaning she sleeps in her car. Fox News contributor Kat Tim. And his show is watched by millions. And that's just his kids. Fox and Friends weekend co-host and host of Modern Warriors, Afghan Extraction on Fox Nation, Pete Hegseth. So Martha, I know you are a huge fan of royalty. We've done a lot of royalty segments with you. Are you aware that I am now king of late night?
So you wear it very well. You wear it well.
It's not, it doesn't really fit.
Congratulations, king of late night.
Yes, it doesn't really fit, so I fired the intern. And I must make a correction. You are not from Buffalo.
No, no, Wikipedia thinks I'm from Buffalo. It's been going on for many years that I'm from Buffalo, so I just sort of like the fact that Wikipedia doesn't get everything right. I do really like Buffalo, though. It's a really nice town, and it has great little towns around it. But, yeah, I'm from New Jersey.
All right, well, it's close. Buffalo, New Jersey. Same thing if you live in California. Cold
That's
and miserable.
true, it probably is.
Anyway, let's get to the topic at hand, my crown. No, so we had the big news today that we got out early. What are your thoughts on this? The military does a great job. We know that. Where do we go from here? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I had so many thoughts watching your monologue about accountability.
Yeah.
And I thought so much about the people that we really heard almost nothing from throughout the course of this. When I watched President Biden walk away in that, we heard so little from him during this. We heard so little from General Austin or the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley. We heard a lot, in fact, several times a day from spokespeople at the White House, at the State Department, at the Pentagon. And I think today, you know, the taking off of those planes and the ending of the war in Afghanistan is something to recognize, to be grateful for. I saw Pete earlier tonight just basically thanking all of these people who have given so much. All these families. I can't really stop thinking about these 13 young people and their families and the mother who is so outraged at the loss of her son. And I feel so much for her. But you know what? I think that this moment of ending it like this, right? It takes away a little bit from the accountability question. We've had a lot of smug prognostication over the course of all of this. Oh, well, it would never happen from a Friday to a Monday before the Secretary of State went off for his vacation. And they were wrong about a lot of things. And I just want us to remember that when we look at the fact that, oh, they got out 24 hours early. Well, thank God. I'm glad nobody else was killed on the way out the door. But the thing is, the war might be over for now, but the war will shift. And sadly, other people will die because of the decisions that were made here. When you move a piece on the chessboard in the global environment, you leave it an opening, and somebody fills it. And it's going to be Russia, it's going to be China, it's going to be Al-Qaeda, it's going to be other terrorist organizations. And really, my heart breaks. The last thing I'll say is this. A friend of mine who lost her brother in 9/11 said, you know, I want people to remember those who died on September 11th, but I really want them to remember who killed them. And those people are back in charge now in Afghanistan 20 years later. This is a really tragic, sad bookend for those families.
Yeah. So, Pete, what are your thoughts? I think it's we talked about this on the 5, that this is not about the bravery of the military. It's about how we ended up in this situation with the bravest military. Like, the choices that were made put the military in an incredible position.
Impossible position. And you can recognize the heroism of the men and women who are on that airfield for the last 2 weeks and the entirely precarious situation they were in, and thank them and be appreciative for that, and at the same time condemn what got them to that point and demand accountability for what got them to that point. My overwhelming feeling when I saw that banner come across the screen that we're out was just sheer relief, frankly, for the ones that were still there, considering the way it had been conducted over the last couple of weeks, the ad hoc manner in which decisions were made that put us surrounded by the Taliban at the behest of the Taliban. And then we had Marines reaching over that barrier, trying to pull in people we'd promised we wouldn't leave behind. But of course we had. And one of the telling statements was almost a dismissive one in a couple of the briefings of, there's a couple of hundred Americans there, we know that. There's a couple of hundred Americans there.
We didn't get out everyone.
That we didn't get everyone out.
Yeah.
And those are future, I mean, that's pure desperation. Those are future hostages in a chess game amongst Islamists.
Yeah.
And now we have a legitimized terror state. And the Taliban's the word we like to call them, but they're totally intermingled with the Haqqani network and al-Qaeda, groups we know are terrorist organizations. So this story is far from written. And we don't know who these 123,000 refugees are. As someone who's been an absolute advocate for bringing my allies home, interpreters I knew home, guys I fought with home, and we should, because of the ad hoc nature of the withdrawal, of the retreat, we were pulling people into the wire, many of which we didn't know who they were.
People were running past other people.
Effect.
People just running past. When the gate would open, people just run through. And it's true. I mean, it's a testament to what we can pull off. But, you know, it also says a lot about Afghanistan. Everybody wants to get the hell out, right?
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, there's so many targets. And, you know, we talk about 250 Americans, and that's 5 times as many as were in the Iran hostage crisis.
Yes.
And, you know, look what happened to Iran after that. Look what happened to our relationship. And I do think, and Pete can speak to this, but I do think there are special operators who are still planning on going in and helping extract those people because, frankly, they've done a better job communicating and prioritizing and organizing who needs to get out. And to Pete's point, a lot of these people were helping U.S. service members for 2 decades, and they have lists of all those people. And a friend of mine who was retired Special Forces, he texted me today and said, no, we're going in there. We're still going in. He goes, the fat old guys have to do it now because the government has failed.
Right.
God bless fat old guys.
Amen, Greg.
I was once one.
And by the way, can I just say something really quickly? You did such an incredible job at Prince Philip's funeral, and she's going to do, really, it was wonderful. I'm a huge fan of The Crown, and I thought you did such great service to his memory. It was beautiful. When you die, she is going to give you the most elaborate and journalistically sound funeral. So thank you in advance.
So what you're saying is I should not outlive Martha McCallum.
No, don't, because you'll want me to cover King Greg's.
Yes, exactly. I don't want Geraldo doing it. God knows what. Geraldo do this thing. He'll be like, I did The 5 with Greg Gutfeld for many years. Here are some pictures of me on the beach. We couldn't find any pictures of me with Greg. All right, Kat, take us home. What are your thoughts? Being married to a man who spent time in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And a soldier, I might add.
Yes.
Not just a man.
Yes, he wasn't just hanging out for spring break.
He wasn't a goat herder.
No. Well, a lot, you know, he's been talking about a lot of people who are more junior in the military, but have been talking about this accountability and issues with the top brass and senior officials in the military. And so you have this guy who, you know, gets fired and then resigns his pension and gives up millions of dollars essentially. And a lot of people now are wondering, so what does this do? Does something happen? Does this force a change? Or does this just quietly go away and then nothing changes? Because if you look at how this happened, that would obviously never happen in any other company where you need accountability. And that's a lot of the problem with the military is that the accountability doesn't exist. Look at what happened when somebody stood up and said, hey, this isn't cool, even though it's been sort of an open secret among military people for decades now.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.